Hello, Bruce.
Hello, MJ.
How goes it, sir?
Oh, it's you probably already know the answer to this. No
Yeah.
no beverage of choice
No Coach
today.
Juice tonight.
No Coach Juice tonight. Tonight it is a nice tall glass of
Of agua.
agua. So, cheers to you. I'm gonna say it one time and one
Cheers to
time
you.
only before we get going on this shenanigans of a show. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you very much.
As a being a Packers fan, I root for you, at the fan in you, to get what you want. However, I do want the Packers to lose. However, it's one of those things where it's like I just want the guy I work with to have happiness,
To have a good day.
Hey, at least your ownership doesn't come on and do a press conference.
I'm just bringing JJ in right away. I love this.
And say absolute gobbledygook. and I would like to say word vomit all over everything. And this is a perfect transition into the gentleman that we are about to speak to.
Welcome, JJ. Just to warn you.
I heard the word vomit and can only assume I know what you're talking about.
Yes, you do. Yeah. And just to warn you, we are live already. So
wonderful.
Have at it, Bruce. You know what to do. This is Bruce's show for the time being.
Oh, let's not go that far. But in any case, JJ, thank you so much as always for hopping on with us. I know your time is very it's just very appreciated. That being said, what were your takeaways from the press conference that you were able to participate yesterday? Yesterday.
It was somehow yesterday.
Yeah, it doesn't. It seems like
long ago.
It feels like the season ended like a year ago, and So anyway, so what were your takeaways from it?
Oh boy, I mean, I think it could not have gone worse for the Chicago Bears. And I want to caution this by saying I think sometimes we read too much into it. We want more to happen from these flashpoint moments than actually will happen. Because George McCaskey went on the radio here in Chicago today and said he didn't regret anything that was said in the press conference yesterday. And to me, that, he probably should. Because his fans, the fans of his team, the fans that spend so much of their money and so much of their time, like yourself, Bruce, are furious about the messaging, about the decisions that were made, about how I heard from so many fans who felt like they were belittled and they were talked to like they were children in this.
Yes.
That it was condescending and not truthful. And there are a lot of fans who are not going to forget this. But what does that really mean for the Chicago Bears? Probably not much, because they have made it clear that as an organization, they hear your comments and they don't care.
To speak to that, I found it interesting from George McCaskey, hearing how he read the hateful emails that he received from fans and responded the way he did. And to continue that, as you said, and as I said, word vomit of a way to talk about the situation itself. I actually do want to talk to you about the concept of continuity. Why do you think that they presented that and really used that as their way to come across to the fans and reassure us? That was their way of trying to reassure the fans.
That was their excuse.
It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. And why would it take 2 days for that, in your opinion?
Well, because I think they were having some very serious conversations about what that continuity looked like, and how Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy would fix things. But ultimately, the messaging of continuity completely fell flat, not because they kept Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy, but because they didn't do anything as an organization. They didn't even fire anyone yesterday because Chuck Pagano was allowed to retire, which he's earned that opportunity. That's a separate conversation for another time.
Correct.
But to say we are keeping the same structure in place and we believe in it to a fan base that does not believe in that structure is it needed to take, there needed to be more accountability, not just with words, but with actions. And it was just empty accountability. That use of the word yesterday had no meaning.
Right.
Because there was no accountability taken yesterday. And what like Ted Phillips has become this kind of boogeyman who, look, Ted Phillips does not meddle in the roster. He does not meddle in football decisions. But what he does do is hire the people to make those football decisions. And since he has been team president, the Bears have faded into irrelevancy on the national stage. And there have been large stretches of the last 20 years in which apathy has been the word to describe how Bears fans feel about their team. I took over the beat in 2017 at NBC Sports Chicago. I took over thinking like all my friends are going to be like, oh my God, you're covering the Bears. I'm like, no one cared because the Bears in 2017 were not interesting.
Right.
And in 2018, okay, they get some excitement back. They get the fans back into it. Then they like the point where this all changed was that opener in 2019 when the Bears scored 3 points against the Green Bay Packers. At that point, I think that when we look back on the Matt Nagy, Ryan Pace era, that game will be literally the beginning of the end. It's not going to be the double doink. It's going to be that opening game where there's so much hype about the Bears and their Super Bowl chances and winning the Super Bowl in their 100th season on George Halas's birthday, and the offense taking a step forward in year 2, and they scored 3 points and lost to the Packers. That game will resonate for a long, long time here in Chicago because that has set the tone for the last 2 years now in this city with how our football team is viewed.
So I gotta appreciate you, by the way, and your colleagues for the accountability that you guys held the Bears front office to. So thank you. And also I listened to that interview you spoke of today too. And honestly, I can't tell you how much, as a Bears fan myself, appreciated the questions and how they were worded. And he skirted around a lot of those questions again. And
he didn't skirt away from putting Anthony Miller in a body bag, though.
Yeah, he did. But I mean, he should. I'm sorry. He's got to be gone after that. You spend 15, 20 minutes of valuable time with the receiver, like Mike Fury, like spending that amount of time with the receivers, letting them know about the instigator on the other team, and you still have a response. You saw your teammate get thrown out in the regular season. You can't do that in a playoff atmosphere in a game. You can't do that. But but thank you guys so much. It's speaking from a fan's perspective, obviously. Thank you. So on a different topic, your article was awesome. One of the things that drew me in right away to your article was talking about what a Bears legend or a former Bears player with respect. Like as soon as I read that, I'm like, hell yeah, I want to see what the hell Brian Urlacher wants to say. I want to hear what Dick Butkus has to say. I want to hear what all these guys want to say. You have the opportunity to have contact with former and current players for that team. And that opportunity provides you with their perspectives. And I know that sometimes you can't share it with the public or whatever, and that's fine. But generally speaking, what have you maybe heard from players and legends that may have talked to you about this?
I mean, they see what we see, right? Like a lot of what I hear comes from their own experiences, but also they're not in the building. They're experiencing it just like everyone else is. And a lot of them are pissed off. You see it on the Football After Show on NBC Sports Chicago after every game. The frustration in the voices of Alex Brown and Lance Briggs and Olin Kreutz. Essentially Olin, if they were hired as director of football operations, Olin Kreutz would be the guy because he can talk circles around anyone when it comes to football. And just like you can just see it with those guys. You can see it on Twitter. You know, it's pretty obvious what is happening here to the Bears, and it's obvious to the former players. And, you know, yeah, sometimes you fall into a trap of like, well, it was way better when I was playing or whatever it was. But look, they see the same stuff that we see, and they saw the same 8-8 season we saw. There's no hiding what the Bears were this year.
Mm-hmm.
They were an 8-8 team, but not just that. And this is something I said yesterday on NBC Sports Chicago, that it's not just that the Bears went 8-8. It's that they went 8-8, and they didn't play good football.
No.
They played a lot of really bad football along the way. And that makes 8-8 feel a lot worse. If they were 8-8, but they were getting big plays and they were just coming a little bit short, and you could sense that there was something being built here. Mm-hmm. That would be one thing. But to go 8-8, where your defense doesn't take the ball away, they don't sack the quarterback, your offense can't score touchdowns, you can't run the ball, that's how you wind up in this situation where 8-8, you can say 8-8 isn't good enough, but 8-8, how they got there really was not good enough.
But JJ, it's about the culture.
Okay.
When those words came out of Ted Phillips' mouth, I mean.
So I have two comments. First of all, I loved, because JJ, I follow you, Cam Ellis, because of the show that Bruce and I do. I've started following a lot of Bears people. So watching the reaction yesterday, well, you guys were covering that press conference. First of all, as Bruce said, very well done. Like, I am a Packers fan. I was frustrated from just what I was hearing from you guys, but I was also entertained at the same time. So very well done on that. But something, I forget who said it, you probably remember, but there was discussion about this 6-game losing streak like it was a good thing.
Yes.
And I would love to hear, first of all, how they tried to paint that as a good thing, and just your thoughts on that, because wow.
Well, it took a lot of prodding for them to admit that it was bad that they lost 6 games in a row. Because it was framed as, isn't it wonderful how we came out of the losing streak, how our team remained intact, how our culture kept everyone together, and we made the playoffs despite that we're only the 3rd team in NFL history to do that. And it was just like, where's the acknowledgement that you shouldn't have lost 6 games in a row? Where is the acknowledgement that it is bad to lose 6 games? There is no but. It's not bad, but it's okay because we did this stuff. It is bad to lose 6 games in a row. Full stop, end of sentence. That was not acknowledged for far too long in that press conference, and it wasn't acknowledged until we pressed them to acknowledge it. Because otherwise they were going to keep, dropping balloons from the ceiling. Hey, we went 8-8 despite losing 6 games in a row. No, I said it to someone during the press conference, or I was live tweeting it, and I was just like, I can't keep up with the amount of L's that the Bears are taking right now with every single one of these quotes.
Nope.
It was incredible.
Are you the one that said the Bears actually finished 8-10 this season?
That was Adam Hogue, my colleague Adam Hogue, had a very good tweet.
Dude, he's awesome. He's another great. Yeah. MJ, did you have a follow up to that? I'm sorry.
No, go for it, Bruce.
All right, so one of the things that I kind of dove into a little bit just because I was curious. So during the past, so from 2019 and 2020, from 2019, I'm sorry, the Bears teams that they beat, their combined winning and losing record was 48, 78, and 1. Those are teams that they beat from 2019. So in 2020, they were 43 and 85. Okay. So a combined record of 91, 163, and 1 for teams that they've beaten. And for teams they have lost, to get rid of, not to go too much, was 163 and 93 against teams that they lost to. So I'm curious. Now, JJ, I'm going to put the GM hat on you. Ooh. So JJ, how do we fix the Chicago Bears?
You blow them up.
Blow them up?
I wrote that column after, what was it? It was after they lost to the Packers on Sunday Night Football. MJ, you remember that game, I'm sure, where it was very, very easy for Green Bay. And I wrote that column after the game. They just got to blow it up because this isn't working. It is not a sustainable way to run a franchise. And I still think that's true. I've been thinking that's true even after they made the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
The only way that I would say you don't have to blow it up is if you make like the NFC Championship, which, by the way, would have required beating Green Bay at least once. So I think you blow it up. I think you say, you know what? We will not win this decade if we keep trying to do the same things we're doing. So, yes, this means we are going to have to make some very painful decisions. And we're going to have to make some trades that are going to send away our most popular players. But we are going to commit to building a sustainable winner in this city, which we tried to do under Ryan Pace. And you know what? Credit to Ryan Pace for trying. He didn't go about it the right way at all, because he traded up way too many times and then he missed on the quarterback. But the general plan that Ryan Pace had was to build a sustainable winner. It didn't work. We got to try again. You know, you got to keep taking swings until you get it right. And 6 years is probably enough to know that it's not going to work. That the Bears are at best a treading water franchise that will back into the playoffs as the last seed or the 6th seed. And maybe they win a game here or there. Maybe they win a game or two, but they're not going to be a Super Bowl contender. Like, I think everyone knew after last year with the Tennessee Titans that their arrow was pointing up when they got into the playoffs as the 6th seed and then won a couple games. Their arrow was pointing up, and that showed this year with how they played. They're a better team this year, maybe not on defense, but overall, their arrows go in the right direction there. Right. The Bears' arrow is just kind of steady, and that's not good. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. So the Bears are getting worse right now. And I would trade away basically anyone you can, and not to say you're not going to get good value, but right. we had Brad Spielberger from Pro Football Focus on the Under Center podcast for an episode that's coming out Monday. Nice. And he said, hey, if you were to trade Akeem Hicks and Kyle Fuller, you're getting a 5th rounder for Akeem and a 3rd rounder for Kyle Fuller. And I was like, whoa, only a 5th rounder for Akeem Hicks? And he's like, yep, that's what the Jaguars got for Calais Campbell last year, when the Jaguars were stripping their roster down for parts. And you know who's looking pretty good right now?
Yep, the Jaguars.
Urban Meyer's Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yep.
I would want to be a Jaguars fan much, much more than I would want to be a Bears fan right now, because they have basically a blank slate to work with. They have a ton of cap space. They have multiple first-round picks. They have the 1st overall pick. It can work in Jacksonville. Right now, what the Bears are doing, it's not going to work. And it's only going to delay the inevitable, and it's only going to make the roster that you inevitably strip down for parts, you're going to have fewer parts because of it.
Agree. One of the things that I couldn't get past during the interview that happened today, I mean, it was on ESPN. It was with Waddle and Sylvie. One of the things that Sylvie actually asked McCaskey was about the comparisons to the Blackhawks and the Cubs. I was not a huge fan about how he dismissed that question by saying they hired people. It was the people that they brought in. And I'm sorry, no shit. It was the people they brought in because they hired competent people. So how are you not bringing in the competent people to, help with your franchise?
One of the most odd things that George said there was about the Cubs with Theo Epstein, and asking about the power structure in with the Cubs and how they changed it. And he said, well, they did what they needed to do to hire Theo Epstein. Isn't that the point?
Exactly.
Isn't that the point? That if you need to do what you need to do to go get one of the best football minds out there, and that means siloing off Ted Phillips from football, any football, not just the contracts, siloing him off from that. He runs the business side. That's it. And but to say that and then double down on Ryan is our top football decision maker misses. I don't think George quite understood what was being asked of him in that. I think George doesn't understand the idea that a lot of fans have, that because Ryan Pace reports directly to Ted Phillips, there's not a guardrail. There's no one else saying, you really want to do that, Ryan? Let's talk about this.
Right.
And sometimes that's good. In some successful organizations, when you have a very smart football mind, like the Bears could theoretically have as their general manager, who doesn't have guardrails, and you let him do what he wants, you can be successful. That certainly is true. But when you don't have that, and that GM has proven it by missing on Mike Glennon, Mitch Trubisky, and Nick Foles, in addition to some other draft picks and other free agents, you need a guardrail in place. It would have been fine for the Bears to say, we're not firing Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy, but we are installing someone above Ryan Pace, another voice in the room.
A football
because right now Ryan Pace's right-hand man, Josh Lucas, came from New Orleans with Ryan here. Maybe a very smart football guy. They have the same experience. You know, Champ Kelly, an outside voice coming from Denver, really smart football guy, but not above Ryan Pace. So when Ryan Pace overuses the word collaborative, it's almost like you're collaborating, but you're still making the same mistakes. So shouldn't there be a different person to collaborate with?
You're collaborating with guys that
are not
agree
hearing
with
that.
What you want to collaborate about.
Well, right. Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Oh man, I just don't get it. If you don't mind, before we have to get before you have to leave, we have a couple fan questions for you.
Yeah.
One of them is who's going to be the best person be the defensive coordinator next season?
So if my pie in the sky thing, which I'm told is just not going to happen, I would go hire Wisconsin's Jim Leonard. He was a finalist for the Rams DC job last year before they hired Brandon Staley. Really, really bright football mind, but everything I know about him is that he's pretty happy in Madison. I would call him and I would at least broach it, but unlikely you're going to get him. Among the realistic candidates, I think interviewing Jay Rodgers, their defensive line coach, would be smart. I think George Edwards, who is the former Minnesota Vikings defensive coordinator, now a senior analyst or a senior staffer somehow with the Dallas Cowboys, could be a good fit. The Bears interviewed him a couple of years ago for their head coaching vacancy. And probably my most realistic fit would be James Betcher, who's currently out of a job, which is kind of point number one of why he's a realistic fit. And number two, there are some connections on staff with him. He was Arizona's defensive coordinator and then the Giants defensive coordinator before he got fired, along with Pat Shurmur in 2019.
Fair enough. And that one-year contract's going to look real nice. What's more likely, Allen Robinson extension or the tag?
Oh, the tag. I just wrote a pretty lengthy piece on NBCSportsChicago.com today looking at kind of setting up Allen Robinson's offseason. And I think the most likely course of action here is they tag and they trade him. And for reasons I kind of outlined in there that, you know, are I could stand here for 5 minutes, 10 minutes explaining them. Allen Robinson's going to have all the leverage if the Bears put the tag on him. 100%. Given the Bears cap situation, given their other needs on the roster, he can demand a trade. He can, if the Bears pay him a cent less than he thinks he's owed, he can probably force his way out of Chicago to a team like Washington or Indianapolis or Miami that really could use a number one wide receiver and has the money to spend on a guy like Allen Robinson.
I would love to see Miami.
Yeah. Two more questions, if that's okay with you. What's the holdup for the extension? What do you think is the holdup for the extension or the tag, or what do you think was the miscommunication for that?
I think the Bears didn't. I think they misread the market. Because had the Bears got a deal done with Allen Robinson early, he would not have the Keenan Allen contract as kind of a perfect comp. Keenan Allen got 4 years, $81 million from the Los Angeles Chargers. Keenan Allen, third contract, 1 year older than Allen Robinson, a very productive wide receiver who also had a torn ACL in his career. That is where Allen Robinson is going to want to live.
Yeah.
About 4 years, $81, $82 million in that range, with over half of it guaranteed like Keenan Allen got, because they are similar. Keenan Allen's maybe a little bit better, you can argue, but Allen Robinson is going to hit the open market. So his value will be a little bit inflated, probably beyond what Keenan Allen got. If the Bears had got this done with Allen Robinson in March, we're not talking about this. we might be talking about a 4-year, $72, $75, $76 million contract, which is a lot of money. Probably more towards 72, I would say. But it's not what Keenan Allen got. There's no comp for all of a sudden, Allen Robinson knows what DeAndre Hopkins is making. He knows what Keenan Allen is making. He knows what the top receivers in the NFL are making. And he considers himself one of those because, by the way, he is. And the Bears dropped the ball on this one by misreading how Allen Robinson views the market. And quite frankly, what we're going to find out is how the market views Allen Robinson. Right. The Bears came in, it was reported that they were around Cooper Kupp levels. 3 years, $16 million. $16 million per year, I should say.
16, yeah.
If the Bears also should not be offering Allen Robinson a 3-year contract. They already did that. He needs a little bit more time because this is his third contract. He's earned it. He's still only 27. The Bears, I think the Bears misread this. They really did. They screwed this up, and they then were not willing to budge. So Allen Robinson deleted references to the Bears on his Twitter account and almost demanded a trade back in September. Well, guess what? If they put the tag on him, he's probably demanding a trade in March.
Immediately,
yeah. And I don't surprise. And that's the Chicago Bears franchise in a nutshell, right there.
Pretty much.
Last question for you. One more, actually two, but let's less serious though. Last question for you: who are the Chicago Bears going to target at 20?
I would think. I want to say tackle. Like my head says that would be the logical thing to do. My gut is like, I think they're not even going to stay at 20. I think they're going up to get a quarterback.
What?
Like I think that is.
What did I say?
Zach?
What did I say?
They're gonna go get Zach.
It's early in this whole thing, and the Bears have done a little bit of scouting, but not a ton. But based on what we heard yesterday, I got the vibe of like they're getting aggressive and they are going to go try to do what they can to get a quarterback who they have collaborative conviction on, 2 words that have not worked out for the Bears in years past when it comes to getting quarterbacks. And that's what they're going to do. I think that is what the big swing will be for Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy to try to keep their jobs, is go get a young quarterback. Probably some, Trey Lance, who's a very talented player. Trey Lance played in 1 game last year. Yep. Is that the guy you're staking your career to, or are you going to fall in love with his traits like you did with a previous quarterback and then not have a structure around him good enough for him to succeed in year 1, and you might stunt his development, and all of a sudden we're back exactly where we were 4 years ago and are right now in 2025, when I'm sure I'll go on Third Down Thursdays and explain to you how this all got screwed up again.
Let's just hope that they take all quarterbacks to dinner this time.
Or don't ask them what car they drive.
Right. All right. So last one, a little less serious now. How's everything going with you and your frustrations with the Bears?
How are you doing?
I'm fine. I mean, look, I cover the team. When you cover a team, you can't be a fan. You can't really be emotionally invested. But you do need to. The balance I've been trying to strike is taking the fans' energy and using that to kind of guide what questions I ask, because ultimately we are the voice for the fans in the media.
Yeah,
it's our job to ask the questions that fans want to know, or give fans the reason why we're not asking that question, whatever it may be.
Right.
And look, I mean, these last 48 hours have been exhausting.
100%.
I mean, I have been talking nonstop about this stupid press conference for like 36 hours now.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to take a weekend where but it also is part of the job. And you know what? Like, these weeks are fun in a sense, because there's so much interest in what you're writing and what you're saying. And it's not fun that the Bears stink. That's not what I'm trying to say.
Right.
But it's fun when you are covering a relevant team. And the thing that I'm just worried about is that for the next couple of years, this team is not going to be relevant. And that stinks. That will be a lot more draining than the last 48 hours have been.
Right. Well, fair enough. Well, go get that time tonight to
Yes.
We appreciate you jumping on with us, honestly, and we're very grateful. And thank you again.
All right. Thanks, guys. You be well.
Talk to you later, JJ. And we are going to go right to Scott.
Right to baseball.
Right to baseball.
Right to baseball. That's great.
Hey, Scott, how's it going?
Hey, good. How are you guys doing?
Doing okay. Sorry it took so long. We had I don't know if you're familiar with the situation going on in Chicago with the Bears, but we just had a beat guy on for the Bears, and he was just explaining the unfortunate press conference that occurred. But
Oh, okay. I didn't hear about that one.
oh, it's quite interesting. If you get a chance, check it out. So, but anyway, how you doing, Scott?
Doing good. Doing good. Yeah, I just got back from California this afternoon.
Oh, nice.
Went up there, family trip. So it was nice. Visited my mother-in-law up there and just got back. So
Nice.
good to be back home.
I like it. So, Scott, before we dive into baseball, when I connected with you and the email address you have your own little business now, and it's very interesting. And I've taken a little look at it, and I want you to describe that for us, because it's not normally. Maybe I'm stereotyping here, but it's not normally the business you see a former baseball player go into. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing now.
All right. So basically, yeah, it's my own technical. It's my own business, but it's not my own wine company. So it's basically I'm a consultant for Scout and Cellar, and so independent consultant. So it's not like some people sometimes get confused. Like, you own your own wine company, you own Scout and Cellar. I wish I owned Scout and Cellar, but I'm my own independent consultant. So I pretty much went online and researched the company, and then just signed up to be an independent consultant. And I have my own online wine store that friends or family can go on and order wine through me, and I get a certain percentage of the purchases. So that's how that works.
So how did you get into that?
My neighbor Larry, he had wine tasting in May 2019, and he told me about the company, and I was kind of interested at first, and did some research, ordered some wine through him, and then a few months later, I said, you know what, this sounds like something fun to do. So I went online, did my research, and signed up, and it's been great. It's been a lot of fun. I'm learning a lot about wine and sharing it with people, and so Scout and Cellar sources wines only from vineyards that are pesticide free, and they don't put any additives or added sugars in their wine. Okay. So that was like a really huge catch for me, and that got my attention right away. So
I'm a big wine guy, so I'm gonna have to start looking into this, Scott. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. I was thinking earlier today, I'm like, you know what, I don't know what all entails to like studying to be a sommelier, but I kind of want to dive into that.
So what's your go-to wine?
My go-to wine? I love Malbecs. I love Malbecs. That's a wine that you could like drink with any meal. I mean, you don't have to really pair it with anything. You can drink it just straight up, and that's something that I really gotten to enjoy about wines, like the difference in the Malbecs, the Pinots, the Syrahs, and even white wines I've kind of gotten into, and it's a lot of fun.
So I'm gonna play dumb here real quick because I have no idea. What's a Sauvignon?
Sommelier.
What is that?
Sommelier. It's a person that is qualified to give like a wine recommendation. Like, it's basically studying wine and how it's made, the fermentation process, and the different types of wines, the different types of areas throughout the world that produce certain types of wines and all that stuff. So
I had never heard that before. I thought you were talking about a specific kind of wine.
Oh, okay.
I'm 20, so not
okay.
legal.
So you're a young guy.
Exactly. Yeah, I have no experience with my wine other than my mom drinks Riesling.
I love it.
I think
my mom drinks Riesling.
Yeah, that's all I got. I'll be honest.
Okay. Yeah.
So real quick, Scott. So just so you're aware of like the dynamic that MJ and I have is, I actually coached MJ in baseball Years ago now.
6 years ago.
6 years? Okay, I don't know. I lose track. 6 years ago, and we decided to collaborate together with doing this, and yeah, it's been just fun ever since, just because he remembered me doing a sports podcast before, and I knew he was doing sports journalism for his major, so I was like, or broadcast journalism, excuse me, for his major, and I was like, let's do it.
Yeah, right on, man. That's very cool. Yeah, I see you got some Bears memorabilia behind you.
Bears. I got the Cubs World Series flag right here. Actually, this is right here. This is the baseball team that he was on right here behind me.
Yeah, he hides it because he doesn't want to show little me.
Well, I don't want to show me with a little bit more hair.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I grew up in Naperville, actually. So
yeah.
Oh yeah,
you're familiar. Yeah.
You with you and your brother. So one of the things, actually, I told MJ about this. I got to bring it up since we're talking about it now. So obviously you played for the Chicago Cubs. One of the things that I recall is I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, you were the first player to wear number 21 after Sammy Sosa.
Yeah.
I remember that vividly because I'm like, who is this jackass that's rocking number 21?
You're not the only one that said that. I had a lot of buddies that told me that.
I was going to
what are you doing?
I was going to ask you, so what was the flack that you got from not only your buddies, but also from fans? Did you get any crap from fans about that?
Yeah, in the outfield. Not too bad, but they're like, hey, what are you doing wearing 21? Who gave you that number or whatever? And I just would look back and do one of these. But yeah, that's what number they gave me. And I didn't really think twice. I mean, I was kind of proud to wear it. I mean, it's that number means a lot to a lot of people in the city of Chicago and Sammy. And in no way was I trying to wear it just to say, okay, there's a new guy wearing 21 in Chicago now. It wasn't anything about that, but I actually heard word from Sammy through my brother, and because my brother got to know Sammy pretty well throughout the years, and Sammy's like, you know what? I saw your brother's wearing my number. I'm glad it's him, and I'm fine with that.
That's cool.
So I was like, that's cool. I guess I got the blessing from Sammy himself. So yeah,
I like it. So that's something else I'm interested about is you have a very rich baseball family history. So if you can walk us through, I mean, I know there's the stat that's like you're much more likely to play professional baseball if you've had a parent or a brother or someone like that who has. Mm-hmm. But given the overwhelming amount of people in your family who have played professional baseball, what was that like growing up? What was that like when you were all playing in the majors? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. I mean, growing up, watching my dad play and being in a locker room with my brothers. I mean, you can't help but fall in love with the game. I mean, Old Comiskey Park, that was like a second home for me growing up. And just being around the players, I think there's a lot to be said. I read in books to where what you get your kids familiar with growing up, their environment plays a lot to do with what they end up doing later on in life. And so I think that had an effect on me, definitely, because I had the love for the game in my heart since I could remember. I mean, 2-3 years old, I was swinging a bat, and there wasn't anything else that I wanted to do ever in life but to be a baseball player. And I felt really fortunate at the time to be around, to be allowed to go in the locker room and to have a dad teach me the game. And my grandfather played as well, and listening to his stories, and that just impacted my life. And I'm trying to pass it along to my boys right now. I have 2 boys that are 13 and 15. They play baseball, and I guess it's a family tradition here.
So I'm sure the dinners are competitive banter.
Yeah, it is. If you know anything about my brother, he doesn't stop talking, and so it's hard to get a word in. But no, I think as time's gone by and now I have stories of my own, I get a little time to tell them. But man, a while back, I would just sit there and listen, and I think that was a good thing too, because I was the youngest of all the Hairston males. So it was started with my grandfather, and then my Uncle Sam, Uncle Johnny, and then my dad. And then I had cousins, John Jr., Jeff, and Jason, who also played. They're my cousins. And then my brother Jerry played, and myself. So I was the last one. And I would just sit and just listen to them talk every time we'd get together as a family. It was always baseball, of course. The ladies would go in the other room and let us talk. But no, it was fun. It was a really good time. I really find that really dear to my heart, listening to my grandfather speak about his career in the Negro Leagues, and my dad and my uncle and their careers, and what it was like growing up in the 50s and 60s playing baseball during that time in Birmingham. It was pretty tough for them. So that just made me want to work harder as I got older to just make them proud, because I knew how hard they worked to get to where they needed to be. And I just wanted to follow in their footsteps, and because I knew they worked really hard to raise me. So I just wanted to do the best I could to make them proud.
I'm sure they were, man, or they are, man, because you had a great career. Great career.
Thank you.
So, my other question to you is, so obviously you played for a few different teams, so you had a few different cultures to reference. One of the things that I really enjoy asking former professional athletes is the dynamic of each locker room. So that said, what the teams that you played on, which locker room just like popped in your head right then and there? You're like, damn, I missed those times with those guys.
I would say San Diego, 2007.
Okay.
When I got traded from the Diamondbacks to San Diego, and it was pretty emotional time for me. My second son was just born a few weeks earlier, so it was kind of like a whirlwind. And after that, I got traded to San Diego just suddenly, and I came up with the Diamondbacks. I got drafted by them, and I felt like they gave up on me. So I go to San Diego and met the team in Houston, and immediately those guys, the veterans on the team, like Brian Giles, Trevor Hoffman, Mike Cameron, guys like that, just were really cool to me. And those guys, they went about it the right way. They're professionals. They're hilarious. They're funny. They welcomed me right away. They didn't shy away from the new guy, so to speak. And I was able to fit in and resurrect my career, I think, at that point, because when you get traded to another organization, it's pretty much your clock is ticking. If you're not like a superstar, and I wasn't by any means, I was a fourth outfielder, and I had to make an impact right away, or else I was probably going to be on another team or hit free agency or something like that. But I would say that 2007 team was pretty awesome. We almost made the playoffs. We lost to Colorado game 163 in 2007.
I remember that game.
Yeah, but that was a special team, special locker room. And then the teams I followed in San Diego, somewhat of the same thing. We lost a few guys from that 2007 season after that year, but San Diego was a huge part of my career that I think the love of the game just grew tremendously being a big leaguer. And again, I resurrected my career. I was able to, I would say, I think, play 6 more seasons after that.
So you were kind of known as the clutch guy in San Diego for those couple years, right? You hit a lot of
at times, I guess.
At times.
At times, yeah.
Like that.
I mean, if that's what you want to call it, I think I came up in quite a lot of situations, especially in 2007, where late in the game I pinch hit and we needed a big hit, and I was able to do that. And it was at that time where the year previous they had won the division, and we were trying to get back to winning the division. And the fans, we were having 35,000 people pretty much a night, and it was just an exciting time, and the fans were really engaged. So yeah, I run into quite a bit of San Diego fans, and they still remember, especially that game 163 against Colorado and some of my big hits that I had.
You know, you tell your sons about that all the time.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? It's funny because I let them bring it up because their YouTube is all their friends get on YouTube, and then I saw a video of your dad the other day hitting a walk-off home run, and then they'll go and look at it, and then they'll ask me about it. So it's like through their friends, but no, I enjoy talking about it. I want to teach them to be proud of your accomplishments, but at the same time, let somebody else bring your accomplishments up. Don't bring them up yourself. Don't be that guy that sits down and tells everybody what you did in the past, because that could just make the wrong impression on people. But no, they're good kids. They hopefully will follow the direction that I give them. We'll see.
There you go.
That's the goal.
So now speaking to home runs and not talking about them and whatnot, I want to bring up pitchers. So who was the one pitcher that you would go up against and be like, damn, dude, this guy's stuff is just nasty, and I do not like going up against him?
Bronson Arroyo.
Ooh.
Quite some time, man. I couldn't pick up the ball against him. Like I had so much difficulty. I mean, big guy, like he'd have that high leg kick, and he would come from all different angles. He would pitch you backwards. I mean, you would go curveball, slider, changeup, cutter, slider, and then he'll get you 0-2 and then throw you 2 straight fastballs. And then to go back to the sweeping slurve, and he was really hard to square up. And I think at one time I was 0 for 14 off him with like 9 strikeouts or 10 strikeouts. And it is in 2012 in New York. I think we had one of our outfielders that was a regular got hurt like 2 days before Cincinnati came into town, and I knew Bronson was pitching. So I'm like, oh man, that means I'm probably going to start. And sure enough, I was in the lineup, and then Terry Collins was our manager. And I said, so Terry, you're pretty confident in me. You looked at my stats against Bronson. I was just trying to make a joke. And he kind of gave me this look like, should I have looked at the stats? He goes, yeah. So he's like, he shook his head. He's like, go get him. And I'm like, all right.
Okay.
And yeah, sure enough, I ended up getting Bronson once. I hit a home run off him. Thank God I got a hit. But man, if I would have went my whole career not getting a hit off that guy, that would be haunting. But no, ironically, I was able to know, not really well, but run into Bronson a couple times out here in Arizona. I think he had a house, and I've seen him at the golf tournament a couple times, and he's really, really good dude, really nice guy. And he actually played with my brother in Cincinnati, so kind of knew of him a little bit before all that stuff goes. But yeah,
that's pretty cool.
So I have a oddly specific question. I'll explain a little bit before I ask the weird question. So I'm an Oakland A's fan. My dad grew up in Central California, and he was 12, 13, 14 years old when the A's won 3 World Series in a row in 1972, 73, 74. So even though I was born and raised in Chicago, I'm a Packers fan and an A's fan. It's weird.
All sorts of messed up.
It is. I'm all sorts of messed up. It's fine.
Yeah.
But my dad and I are both very big fans of Dallas Braden. I don't think I have the poster in here right now. I think it's at school. But I have a Dallas Braden poster of his perfect game. I don't think you were there then, but you did play with Dallas Braden. And he's known for being very outgoing in his commentary now that he works for the A's. So describe him as a teammate. Was he always like that? I would assume so. But, I mean, give us a little bit of his personality as a teammate.
Yes, pretty much what you see is what you get. He didn't sugarcoat anything. Really good teammate, nice guy, good-hearted individual. But, man, he was a competitor. I loved watching him pitch. He'd go out there and at first, because I got traded over to the A's, and I didn't really talk to people. I didn't ask questions like, hey, what's this Dallas Braden all about? Because he was kind of like had this pep and talking, and he didn't have that much service time in the big leagues at that time. So I'm like, man, he's pretty comfortable in his own skin being like a young kid. but I kind of like that because I think he was respectful to the veterans, and he was just himself. He was fake by no means, and he's in the right career now, man. He loves the game. He loves to talk about the game. He's a type of person that is entertaining to be around, entertaining to watch, and he's a smart guy. He knows his stuff. I think that's not to say that if you're a baseball player, you're looked at as being somebody that just could play the game. But I think that, man, even while we were playing, although he was a pitcher, and I didn't really have a lot of conversations in depth with pitchers because I'm usually talking about hitting with other hitters, but I would have loved to talk to him more when we played, just to kind of pick his brain on what goes through his head when he's pitching and his approach to facing guys. Because he was known for a guy that wouldn't back down. He would challenge hitters all the time, and he pretty much let them know what's coming, and he'd go at it and fist pump and all that stuff. So I was happy to see what kind of career he had, and now he's on TV, and I enjoy watching him on TV.
Bruce, I know you don't watch the A's very much because you're very picky, but Dallas Braden is very entertaining. You should look up some clips sometime.
All right, I'll do that. Hey, he spoke to it earlier. I'll watch YouTube or something like that later.
There you go. Bruce, he honestly sounds like if you became a commentator, but you actually, had a beard and hair.
Yeah, and hair too.
In any case,
I love you, Bruce.
Yeah. So real quick, I actually do want to ask you, Scott, because you had the opportunity to play for a Chicago team since being from Chicago. Thank you, by the way, because you did actually help with the transition to the Cubs being a World Series contender, by the way, with the situation that you were into. But that being said, though, how was it playing at Wrigley Field and being a part of the transition to winning culture?
It was really cool. I mean, playing in that ballpark. I mean, the history. I don't have to go on and on about the history, but growing up, I went to a few games. I went to a few games with my buddies in high school, and just seeing the history there, and then wearing that Cubs uniform too as well. I mean, that was really, really cool. My uncle played for the '69 Cubs, so I was a third member actually. My brother played, I think the 2005 Cubs he played on. So it was really, really cool being a Cub and having friends watch the game. They're big Cubs fans, and I wasn't a big Cubs fan growing up.
I saw you roll your eyes right when you said it too.
Yeah, it was different because I grew up a White Sox fan, and my dad played and stuff like that. So that was weird wearing those colors because I never wore them growing up.
Right.
And so, but again, having buddies in the stands in the outfield yelling at me and have some beers and stuff like that, and seeing them after the games and being a part of the you go to Wrigleyville and all that stuff, and being part of Cubs tradition. That was cool. I just wish that we were much better of a team when I was there. Unfortunately, we didn't do well at all. So
I think that was I think you guys won like 50s and 60s win total there. So
yeah,
it is what it is.
It was a hard time. We didn't really have good fan support that year, but I was happy to see him win a few years later. Again, I was hoping to be a part of that franchise moving forward, but that baseball it is what it is, business, and it's hard to stay with a team for more than 2 or 3 years nowadays.
Right. I if you don't mind, I'm gonna follow up with how were your interactions with Theo when there were?
With Theo? Really good. He was very straightforward with me, and I highly respected him. He knew that. I think he handled the team really good while we were there. I mean, I think he did the best he could. Again, there were certain pieces of the puzzle that weren't there that he wanted to bring in, and he made it known that I wasn't one of those puzzles pieces that was going to stay there long, which was okay. Again, in baseball, there's opportunity on different ball clubs, so I knew that. But yeah, he he was very straightforward and respectful for me. And yeah, again, I was happy to see those guys win. He came over from Boston and had a lot of expectations with the people of Chicago, and then he brought them a World Series. So
it's true.
He came through.
So I'm sorry, MJ, you can go ahead.
I was just gonna say, because we're almost out of time. My favorite question to ask is, and you can go back as far back with this as you want, Scott. But give me your favorite moment. Because I mean, we talked the games 163. You hit a lot of clutch home runs. It doesn't even have to be necessarily a game moment. It could be an interaction you had with somebody. But in your baseball career, what is your favorite moment that you had?
Yeah, game 163. I hit a home run in the 13th inning and put us up by 2 runs. And when I was rounding the bases, again, I was traded to San Diego earlier that year. It was like a huge weight that just came off my shoulders. And I'm like, man, okay, I made my impression. And this could send our team to the playoffs. And a lot was going through my head rounding the bases. And I touched home plate and I saw the whole team waiting in the dugout. And those were the guys that accepted me and welcomed me in from Arizona. And that was a great moment for me. My brother actually ended up flying out that morning because his season had ended the day before. And he was there in the stands. So that was cool. I shared that moment with him. And unfortunately, we didn't end up winning the game. But I think that kind of put me on the map to come back to San Diego and again, continue to resurrect my career. And I think that hit kind of sealed it for me.
So that was, I remember watching that game and that was absolutely incredible. Real quick, I have to apologize to you and MJ because if you see me smirking, it's because I have my 2 dogs around me and my fiance was trying to get the dogs and she was trying to do it quietly.
And I didn't even notice. I'll be honest.
I was sitting there trying not to laugh at her facial reactions, trying to get the dogs.
Oh, I didn't notice. That's okay.
I still had to apologize though.
Oh, no problem. I didn't even notice.
Fair. Awesome. But before you leave, I actually want to ask you another question if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course.
So one of the things that I like asking as well is what were the good times, like outside of baseball and outside of the locker room with those guys and whatnot, who and where were the places that you guys enjoyed like hanging out? And if I may, what was the go-to drink at that time?
Okay. So you mean hanging out like in Wrigleyville and stuff like that?
Wrigley, anywhere, it doesn't matter. And what was your favorite go-to spot? Well, it doesn't matter.
Oh man. Okay. That's a good question. We had quite a few of them. I just remember walking out of the stadium and going to the left, like you go across the street and you go to the left. There's a few bars. I know I sound like a fool right now, but
are we talking about Wrigleyville?
Yeah, we're talking about Wrigleyville.
Oh, okay. Well, you got Murphy's. Well, which one are you talking? Are you talking about? Is it by the fire department?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so, that one.
Okay, I can't even remember what the name of it is. It's been such a long time since
It's only one story.
Are you talking about Murphy's Bleachers?
I just remember going to the bottom. But either way, bar hopping at Wrigleyville was so fun. I mean, I had a blast doing it. Again, I had a lot of my high school buddies that were so happy that I was on the Cubs because they grew up and they still are diehard Cubs fans. So I think that they loved playing on the Cubs more than me playing on the Cubs more than I did. But they would just come to the games. They would support me. We'd go have a drink afterwards. There's a lot of day games, of course. So we had the opportunity to do that and hang out. Go-to drink, man. Well, obviously I'm a wine guy, but at bars, I drink bourbon.
Okay. What's the bourbon? Yeah. What's the bourbon?
Angel's Envy. I love Angel's Envy. I don't know if you had it.
Yes, I've had it.
That was my go-to drink, really. And on the rocks, didn't mix it with anything.
Don't have to.
Don't have to mix it. And but yeah.
That's awesome. Honestly, I'm sure you're on a different note. I'm sure you're very happy though about your I say it from a fan perspective, Chicago White Sox this year looking pretty damn good. So
They are. They're looking pretty good, and they have a new manager, which is really cool.
Interesting.
Tony La Russa. A lot of people are probably like, okay, does he still have it? I mean, he's too old or whatnot. I mean, hey, man, that guy is so knowledgeable. He's just like an encyclopedia. Like, he's just a good person, a good guy. And I think if there's anybody that in the White Sox history, and this might be a bold statement, to come back and manage one last time, it would be Tony La Russa. I mean, wow. He's legendary in Chicago. He managed my dad. My dad got to know him pretty well. My dad played with him in the minor leagues, and he was my dad's manager for a few years in Chicago. And we're happy as a family to see him come back.
That's cool.
And we really, really hope he gets the support he deserves. I know it's a different day and age, and it's a different game than it was back in the 80s and 90s, but I certainly hope that the White Sox really do well this year, and with La Russa there, I believe that they're in good hands with him.
I mean, he's got plenty of talent. He is loaded. So
yes, he does.
I mean, with all of the knowledge he has, like you said, I'm sure he'll be okay.
I hope.
Yeah.
I think he'll be more than okay.
Yeah.
I just hope that the people will accept him and remember what type of man he is, and the knowledge that he has for the game, and the love he has for Chicago too. Although he spent a lot of years in St. Louis, and you saw what he did there, but Chicago has always been in his heart. I don't think anybody can deny that.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, Scott, thank you very much for taking some time out of your evening. I appreciate you coming on. Bruce appreciates you coming on. Everybody's enjoyed listening to your stories. So thank you very much. Best of luck with your wine work. You're doing great things there. I love seeing all your posts on LinkedIn because that's how we connected.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate for you guys having me on, and let's do this again sometimes.
Yes, sir. I want to hear more thoughts on the White Sox too from you. That'd be
okay. Yeah, next time I'll have some stuff for you.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Scott.
Perfect.
All right.
Sounds good. Talk to you later, Scott.
All right. Bye.
Good dude.
Oof. That has been an hour of interviews, Bruce Males. How you doing?
Oh, man. It was good. Testing smooth jazz.
Smooth jazz.
Smooth jazz. No, honestly, I really wish, like, now that we got on that topic, I had no idea that that Tony La Russa played with and coached or managed his father.
I had no clue. That's way more research than I've ever done.
Right. That would have been awesome. That would have been really cool to talk to him about.
I mean, obviously, from that, Scott has a lot of White Sox connections, but his grandfather, one of the few things I did find is his grandfather was the first African-American player to ever play for the Chicago White Sox.
Interesting. I did not know that either.
Yeah. So, I mean, that family has a very rich White Sox history. It's no wonder that he was a White Sox fan growing up in Naperville with, his grandfather and his father playing there.
Right.
It adds up. I mean, you may be mad because he doesn't like the Cubs, but
I'm not mad about it. I don't mind it at all.
Okay, hey, Bruce, you're a little salty. Don't lie.
He's a Chicago native. It's all good. He still says Chicago like Chicago, so I'm all good with it. I love it. He still has that Midwest Chicago accent. We're all gravy.
Yeah, you're right.
Man, dude, I gotta tell you, that was pretty damn funny. So all right, I'll tell you this story. So
yes.
little background info that going on here. So when Celine came down to try to be quiet to get the dogs away, she was starting to laugh while she was trying to do it, and the dogs weren't listening to her at all. They were actually going underneath the table and sitting down next to me, and that's what made it even funnier. And then she tried reaching. So I have a bag of tortilla chips sitting over here
usually,
and he reaches in to grab the tortilla chips. So she didn't want it to crinkle and it being heard on the show.
You could have just muted yourself.
Yeah, I could have, but it was more entertaining watching her try to. So she's reaching in trying to get the chip. She's like real quiet. She was quiet, but like all of a sudden out of nowhere, I just like looked up and I just see her hand going like this. I couldn't help myself. So that's why you may have seen me go like this.
I sort of noticed, but like you
I
make
had
like facial expressions all the time, so it wasn't really that much out of the ordinary.
it's just my normal.
Yeah, just your normal facade.
I have a face for radio.
Yes, you do.
Face for radio and a voice for shutting the hell up.
Amen.
That might be that might be
Oh wait,
legit.
what what did Celine say?
Wait, I don't even know.
She said you made me die laughing. That's all your fault.
Oh, it's my fault.
Yeah, it's all Bruce's fault. But no, I have one Bears question.
Awesome. Let's hear
Then
it.
I want to touch on a little basketball, and then we'll end with NFL playoffs. So my one Bears question, and I think I texted you this. I don't know. So it's like 21-3 in that Saints game, right?
Why are we
And
doing
the Bears get the ball back, and my dad and I both look at each other, and we're like, Nick Foles time? Why not, right? Mitchell Trubisky trots out there, 3 and out, something like that, something horrific, and game's over. So, Bruce, take your emotion out of it,
I'm trying.
okay? Do your best. This is the question I was trying to pose to Bears fans, and it didn't go very well, but I tried.
Well, at the
What-
time, you can't be doing it at the time.
Well, yeah, but I tried. What harm do you have? What do you have to lose in that moment? Late in the third quarter, down 21-3, Mitchell Trubisky has looked worse than a floating feather on Lake Michigan. What do you have to... I have no idea where that analogy came from. It's just what popped into my head. What do you have to lose by putting Nick Foles in that game?
None.
So
Nothing.
why didn't they?
Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. You don't have anything to lose by putting Nick Foles in that game. The only thing you have to lose, though, in that would be you could lose the respect and the general trust of the locker room. And
But do they really have that?
well, right now, like seemingly so, he may.
Apparently.
But that said, though, I think that played a factor in that, and we've already done the whole quarterback
Right.
roulette thing. But I also think, again, I think that while it took them 2 days to announce the BS press conference that they were going to have,
Yeah.
I think that there was reports already out that Nagy's job was safe.
Right.
So I do think that played a role in his decision making with that regard. A lot of players, from things that I've heard, were upset about the way he handled the Mitchell Trubisky, Nick Foles situation. That said, I probably wouldn't have played Nick Foles either as a coach. And mind you, again, my football mind is minute compared to Matt Nagy's.
Yeah.
And Bill Lazor's and their whole staff. However, from a coaching thought, I don't want to make players have to look over their shoulder if I'm going to continue coaching that particular team. So
That's fair.
And I get that you do whatever you can to win, but there is still that dynamic as a coach that plays a factor in the decisions that you make. You don't want to have players lose their trust in you, and you don't want to cause any kind of second guesses about those individuals and their abilities.
That's fair. And I really was...
That was a very long and a pretty decent thought. That's what happens when you drink water.
Wild. What a concept. Yeah, I mean, we've talked plenty about the Bears. Something I do want to bring up is, first of all, if anybody thinks that anyone other than the Los Angeles Lakers are winning the NBA Finals, you are on crack cocaine. Just wanted to throw that out there, establish that it's done. And that is even with the new Big Three that we have in Brooklyn, which currently is still a Big Two because Kyrie Irving is out testing his theory about whether or not the world is flat and just running
and going on
into
random
the great beyond.
Zooms. Well, I gotta tell you, I don't know if you heard this or anything, but he was actually here it is. He attended a virtual event for a Manhattan district attorney candidate. I don't know if you heard about that.
No, I knew he was at his sister's birthday party.
Yeah, he was there. He was maskless, doing
Right.
all shenanigans. And then, yeah, he also 30 minutes before a Brooklyn Nets game, he was on a Zoom with a candidate for a district in the New York area. First of all, get your ass out of there. I'm sorry. You should just retire. If I was that GM, or if I was a GM with him, I'd be like, take your flat earth ass out of here. I'm sorry.
So here's what I have to say about that, and I've said this a couple times, so I have it fairly well rehearsed. There are two perspectives. Number one, he left right after what happened at the Capitol, and everybody assumed, because he was very passionate about Black Lives Matter over the summer, everybody assumed that that was directly correlated, and it really appeared that it was. So the assumption was he was struggling with his mental health because of that, and he needed to take some time away. That's what Brooklyn assumed, that's what the fans assumed, that's what everyone in the world assumed. Now that he's appeared other places and he looks perfectly fine in other places, there does not appear to be something seriously wrong with his mental health because he's not checked into somewhere. He is out and about. He is doing normal things. He, for some reason, just, and I quote, does not want to play basketball. So there are two things. Number one, if he keeps doing this, the Brooklyn Nets have the ability to void his contract and he will be gone. And I truly, it's not going to happen, but if it did, that would be the end of Kyrie Irving and he would be done. In my opinion, if I was an NBA GM, I would not touch that with a 1,000-foot pole. Like, I don't care how good you are.
10-foot basket.
There you go. I don't care how good you are. Number two, I believe Kyrie leaving is the sole reason that the Nets made that trade. If Kyrie Irving is there, the Nets do not make that trade. James Harden is currently in Philadelphia. Number three. 3 of 4. Number 3, the Nets are not going to win anything because they now have no depth and no defense. I don't care how many points you score. You have Kyrie Irving, if he comes back, not a very good defender. James Harden, don't even have to say anything. Kevin Durant, good, but now you have no bigs. Your starting center is Jeff Green. Bless his soul, not a starting center that can go up against, Jokic or AD in the final. Like, that's not going to go.
DeAndre Jordan's still on that roster, and he's 30-something, and there is no way he can move with the athletic.
DeAndre Jordan is on that roster to try and keep some sanity, and that's about it.
You got to feel, honestly, you do have to feel for some of the guys on that roster, just because right now, I'm going to take away. I apologize to Mr. Kyrie Irving for making fun of his flat Earth thoughts. Those are his beliefs. I should not make fun of his beliefs. That being said, I can't talk shit about how he's handling the situation.
Yes, for sure. If I was his teammate, I would be pissed.
The amount of talent and ability has always been there with him. The issue right now is the Brooklyn Nets have 2 players on their roster that are causing rifts everywhere they've gone. Yeah. Kyrie Irving did not get all of a sudden did not get along with LeBron James in Cleveland. Cleveland teammates always said that I shouldn't say always, but I can recall times where I've read about issues that he had in Cleveland with situation. Everywhere that he's gone, there's been controversy. James Harden has played with Russell Westbrook, Durant before, and Chris Paul. Who else?
Dwight Howard.
Yeah. So he's played with multiple superstars. He's not going to be able to. He hasn't won anything with those superstars.
Nope.
I don't think. And mind you, the way he played, and a friend of mine sent me a text. By the way, real quick, congratulations to my buddy who's been on the show, Eric, for his business venture. Good shit.
Go,
dude.
Eric. My guy.
Go, Eric. But he described it very, very well in what he said to me via text. He's like, I watched that Rockets. I forgot who they played, but he's like, I watched that Rockets game. It totally looked like James Harden just quit. It looked like
the Rockets-Lakers game.
Yeah, it was a Rocket-Lakers game. Thank you. He's like, it looked like a crappy AAU team. And when James Harden, their superstar, gave up, you could tell that every single player on that roster saw him giving up, and it was just a trickle-down effect.
Yep.
If he doesn't care, why the hell should we care? And the worst thing is, a lot of people don't like him. I actually like Boogie Cousins. I do. I don't know why a lot of people don't like him, but I actually really like how he is. And what he was doing today, I don't know if you saw any of
Oh, I
the
saw,
stuff.
yeah.
I love that. I love what he said. I love what John Wall said. Those are they're two NBA veterans, one of which, both actually, I'm sorry, both players have sustained injuries, but have come back from said injuries.
Yeah.
One is still superstar-ish. The other is, more of a role player now.
Yeah. Boogie will still give you 20 and 10 some nights.
I'll give you right. I agree. But so that said, I think that there's no way that James Harden and Kyrie Irving can walk into an arena and fit because of the ego that they bring into that place. I'm sorry. I like him, mind you, I like Kevin Durant. I think Kevin Durant is an absolute stud. I think Kevin Durant is a beast. I would take Kevin Durant on the Bulls in a heartbeat. And I think that that's a guy, but I think that's also a guy who wants to play basketball, wants to win, and pushes his ass. The dude went to Rucker Park.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I don't recall if that's the name of it. Someone's going to give me crap for it. I get it. But the guy went, when the NBA had the lockout, to a New York, a New York basketball court, and played there. And the guy just wants to play, and I love that. And you love seeing that, and wants to win. And God bless him. Like, I hope he's able to handle all the interesting minds and personalities that are now in Brooklyn.
Yeah, I mean, let's just say, even if Kyrie, Harden, and Durant are there, if they don't make the finals, it's an extreme disappointment. Like, even given their lack of defense, they should make the finals because you have three guys who can average 28.
Do they get past the Bucks?
What?
Do they get past the Milwaukee Bucks?
Yeah. It's not that won't be hard. I don't think the Bucks make it past the second round, no matter who they're playing. I don't think the Bucks are a very good basketball team.
Fair. I have to watch it. I haven't watched them play yet this year.
Yeah, they've not been very impressive. That whole thing is a mess. Kevin Durant actually wanted James Harden over Kyrie, but he couldn't get Harden off of the Rockets yet. The Rockets refused to move him, so he took Kyrie. Yeah. So now that Kyrie's gone, Kevin Durant's like, hey, can I have Harden?
Unreal.
But
actually, real quick.
Yes.
Real quick, before you finish that thought. The weekend is right around the corner, and there are plenty of things going on in Central Illinois to keep you and the family busy, whether you're just visiting or you call the heart of Illinois home. You would think I'd be better at reading this since I've read it like 2-3 weeks in a row.
Me too.
Discover Peoria, the Peoria Area Convention and Visitors Bureau has dropped us some information about a few weekly discoveries you don't want to miss. The 22nd annual Frosty 5K by Family Corps.
Ooh.
Family Corps is hosting the 22nd annual Frosty 5K and 1 mile dog walk. Gotta love doggies. I already mentioned mine today.
You're right.
The 1 mile dog walk on Saturday, January 30th, 2021. The hybrid event allows Let's rewind that. The hybrid event allows registrants to choose between participating in person or virtually. Proceeds from the event will benefit programs and clients of Family Corps. Make sure to sign up today over Discover Peoria's event page today. Wow.
And
that was a struggle today.
To improve off of what Bruce did, because, that's okay. We'll get better.
Let's be honest. Hey, you know what, though? I'm better reading, apparently, with beer.
I'm not surprised. It loosens you up a little bit. But the second thing we have to talk about is virtual tours. So there are 2 great virtual tours that you and your family can explore, all from the comforts of your home, because, COVID. So you can check out the giant earth movers at Caterpillar Visitor Center with its virtual tour over on their website. Not only can you go through the entire visitor center, but you have the opportunity to also interact with the machines from afar. There are also videos that accompany the machines in the tour, so you can actually see the earth movers in action and how they are used in the field. Another thing, you can discover music, science, technology, and art virtually at the Virtual Peoria Riverfront Museum. I've been there in person, so I would assume it's cool virtually. Every day of the week at the Riverfront Museum goes live to help inspire our community while we can't actually go to the museum at the moment. The museum features live music, discover the 360-degree live stream of their newest dome show, Big Astronomy, and fun science experiments. To learn more about these great virtual experiences, head to discoverpeoria.com.
Bam!
Bam.
I gotta learn how to read next week.
That's okay. So Bruce,
let's jump on this NFL playoff thing, huh?
Yeah. So Green Bay. I'm just gonna give my prediction now. Just get out of the way.
Go for it.
Green Bay Packers will beat the Los Angeles Rams. I think obviously best defense against best offense with a chance to go to the NFC Championship game on the line. You can really not ask for much better than that, unless maybe you wanted it to be with a trip to Super Bowl on the line. Whatever. People have their preferences. Jalen Ramsey against Devontae Adams. Aaron Donald against Corey Linsley. The best secondary in the NFL against Aaron Rodgers. Mr. Broken Thumb who sucks in the cold against the second best secondary in the NFL. Interesting.
Here we go.
so here's my thing, right? Every strength that the Rams have, the Packers have something to match it. Every strength that the Packers have, the Rams match some of them, but not all of them. The Rams' run defense, not great, other than Aaron Donald. If you run it away from Aaron Donald, the run defense is not very good. They have a lot of playmakers. They have a lot of guys who love rushing the passer. And what we've seen from the Packers with Zadarius Smith is sometimes when you have somebody who loves rushing the passer, they get a little excited and they overextend. The Rams do that a lot on rushing defense, at least from the tape I've watched. And specifically, the Rams are just not good at scoring points. They beat up on a Seattle defense last week that is not good. And the Rams average around 23 points a game. And I will be honest, I will be surprised if they hit 20 in this game. Because Cooper Kupp is injured. I don't care what the injury report says. He had a non-contact injury to his knee last week in Seattle. That is never good. They called it bursitis. Whatever they want to call it, that's not good. The biggest thing to me is Aaron Rodgers in the cold since 2016. So a game where the temperatures start at kickoff are freezing. Aaron Rodgers, I want to say he's like... I know he hasn't lost. And I think he's thrown 10 touchdowns, 1 interception, something like that. Jared Goff, 0-2, 0 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and a passer rating of like 30. So I think the home field advantage, it's also going to be the first time the Packers have fans the entire season. They're going to have 8,000 or 9,000 fans in Lambeau Field. Everything put together, the Rams do not have an extraordinary advantage in any phase of the field. Somehow their special teams is even worse than the Packers, which is a Christmas miracle because the Packers' special teams is awful. So special teams, they both suck. Defense, they have number 1 and number 2 secondaries in the NFL, and both have 2 of the top 3 guys in pressuring the quarterback, in Aaron Donald and Zadarius Smith. What are you shaking my head at? Zadarius Smith was number 3 in the NFL in pressure. Don't shake your head at me, Bruce. Wait, what do you want? I'm not comparing Zadarius to Aaron Donald in terms of.
I wasn't even talking about you. I was reading the. Go ahead.
Okay.
Finish your Green Bay love.
Yes, it's not love. It's numbers. I've spent all week looking at numbers. I mean, I'm not afraid to. If the Packers had a shortfalling, I'm not afraid to go after that. I think their run defense is a shortfalling. Cam Akers will probably run over the Packers a little bit. But as we saw from the Bears game, you need to beat the Packers by throwing the football. You cannot beat the Packers by running the football. If that's your only dimension, they will load the box, and you cannot dink and dime your way down the field and beat the Green Bay Packers. You have to go out there and score points, and the Los Angeles Rams are not capable of scoring enough points to keep up with Aaron Rodgers. And that's all I have to say about that.
What are you, Forrest Gump? That's all I have to say about that.
That's all I have to say about that.
No, what I was going to actually say, the only thing you're going to have to run the football against them. The only reason why I'm saying that is because you need to keep Aaron Rodgers off the field. Time of possession.
So here's and this is what we said last week too.
Right.
If you want to run the football against the Packers, you have to have those 7-minute drives. You have to have one every single quarter.
And you need to score a touchdown on them.
Yes.
That's the thing. That's the hugest thing.
So if the Rams want to win, they have to pretty much shove Cam Akers down the Packers' throat successfully, and they need to score at least 28 points.
I'll be interested to see in this game McVay?
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see how he calls this game, and I want to see the sets that they call. And I don't honestly. If we're gonna do picks, I'll let you lead off with picks since it's the Packers.
No, but the only thing I will say is if I was Mike Pettin, I would put 7 in the box at all times, at least, probably 8, and I would dare Jared Goff with a broken / dislocated thumb in the freezing temperatures in Green Bay to go out there and beat me with your arm.
100%. Even if he was healthy.
Even if he's healthy.
If it was like the first game of the year, he's feeling phenomenal. I would load the box against him and be like, let you throw against us.
Yeah. But so for Packers, I will go 28-17, Green Bay.
We don't have to do scores for the other ones.
Okay. Then Bills, Ravens, I'll go Bills. I think
we'll save the old man bowl for the end.
Chiefs. Okay. Chiefs Browns. I think Chiefs will win, but I think the Browns will cover because the Chiefs they've covered once in the last 8 games, and the spread is 10 right now.
Are you serious?
Yes. So anyone listening, go bet the Browns.
Go Brett, go.
Go Brett, go. Go bet the Browns to cover because the Chiefs have not covered in an eternity, and I just don't think the Browns are going to get smacked around like that.
Last but not least, Buccaneers Saints.
14 of the last 21 times that the playoff matchup has come between two teams where there was a sweep. The sweeping team won 14 out of 21 times. I'm going to stick with that. I think Saints win.
All right, I like it. All right, so I'm not going to go crazy with I'm going to go Green Bay. I'm going to go Chiefs. I'm going to go Bills. I'm going to go Bills. And I'm going to go I got to stick with the guys that I just went against my Super Bowl pick. But I'm going to go Saints. I'm going to go Saints.
Yeah.
But I know I think I totally did. I pulled the stupid crap that I pulled last week, and I picked with my heart with that. I really like the Bills, but I probably should have gone Ravens, but I'm not going to go away from my pick. But I went against my Super Bowl pick, so
you're right. That will be an interesting game because it's two very good offenses, and both of their defenses.
Lamar Jackson's never played in the snow, and it's supposed to snow.
Let's go! I'm excited for that.
Good stuff.
But yeah. That is an hour and a half of Bruce and I just shoving sports content down your guys' throat. We've had a very good show tonight, very good viewership, so thank you everybody watching. If you are not already following the channel, follow the channel because we are very close to 50 followers, which will make us affiliated on Twitch. Basically, that means we're important. So when we get 50 followers, we are also going to give away a t-shirt to a free follower. So if you want to follow the channel, then you can be entered into that little giveaway. And yeah, it's been an awesome show. Bruce, your final words.
Final words, Bears suck. Go Bears still though. Final words other than that. Awesome show. Scott, thank you so much. Much appreciated for jumping out with us. JJ, you're the man. Thank you again. Quick shout out to the wifey. Thank you for keeping track of the puppies while I was doing this and
well done.
Make me laugh during an interview with a former professional athlete. Appreciate that. But anyways,
yeah,
good stuff, buddy.
Thank you very much, Bruce. Thank you everybody for watching. We'll be back next week, 7 p.m. Central Time. You know where to find us.
Let's go.